Formula One. In a sport where danger, prestige, and money are over the top, one name echoes around the world as the #1 driver: Lewis Hamilton. Hey, I'm Claire from hotcars.com, and today we'll be talking about how Lewis Hamilton became one of F1's most acclaimed drivers. Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton was born into a mixed-race family on January 7, 1985 in Stevenage, a quiet English town north of London. It seems like quite a stretch for a working-class family to get any kind of access to drive an F1 car. A Formula One racing car from the 2023 season is worth between $12 and $15 million. The steering wheel comes to $50,000, a set of wings front and rear to around $200,000 depending on its complexity. The F1 spending cap for a season for each team was set at $145 million in 2021, reduced to $140 million for 2022, and is limited to just $135 million in 2023. F1's 2022 revenues are estimated at $1.38 billion, which is shared amongst teams and other shareholders, making it one of the highest earning sports competitions in the world. It was a do-or-die focused push from Lewis and his family, whom we'll talk about later, that made this leap possible. Although just 38 years old at the time of writing, Lewis Hamilton has been competing non-stop for 30 years. He related his humble beginnings on the karting scene with his mother's vehicle to one of his favorite films, Cool Runnings. Being black and showing up on the scene with less than ideal gear and a humble vehicle on the tracks naturally generated a lot of attention towards him and his family, much like it did for the Jamaican bobsled team when they participated in the 1988 Winter Olympics in Calgary. Now the pendulum has swung and he is known as the poster child for racing opulence. Formula One drivers do not receive prize money. Their teams pay their salaries. Generally, the drivers or the teams do not disclose their total earnings, so how much do F1 drivers actually earn? Usually, they will give more money to the driver who has won the most, through bonuses for example. But the highest earning drivers such as Lewis Hamilton earn around $30 million a year. The endorsements don't hurt either. Lewis's deals with Mercedes-Benz, Tommy Hilfiger, Monster Energy, Puma, IWC, Sony, Bose, Bell Helmets, and the Agusta motorcycles and Gran Turismo Sport have pushed his net worth to the $285 million mark, and it continues to climb. Oddly, Lewis Hamilton has said in many interviews that he doesn't like to drive himself around town that much, and he prefers to be driven so that he doesn't get tempted to push the speed limit. If he rolls through your town, you might be able to barely see him through the tinted glass of his $80,000 Cadillac Escalade, his Mercedes GL63, or his Mercedes Maybach S600. He does have an impressive car collection for when he does drive himself, which includes a white $625,000 Mercedes-Benz AMG G63 6x6, a blue $1.15 million McLaren P1, a purple specially made 760 horsepower $2 million Pagani Zonda 760LH, which he actually crashed into a parked car in Monaco, a 1966 Shelby 427 Cobra worth up to $1.5 million today, a $150,000 1967 Shelby GT500 akin to Nicolas Cage Eleanor from the 2000s Gone in 60 Seconds movie. It's a car he calls beautiful but a heap of junk. He said, "I'd seen Steve McQueen drive a Mustang Bullet. The company did a great job on the paint job, but the rest of the car isn't very good, so I never drive it." Lewis also has a $755,000 Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Coupe Black Series, a custom $5 million Ferrari LaFerrari with his name and number on the door sills, a $30,000 Can-Am Maverick X3 for his off-roading pleasure, and a $2.72 million Mercedes-Benz AMG 1, which he helped develop with the Mercedes-Benz team. That last 1063 horsepower hypercar recently left the Nordschleife with the record for road legal production cars. At the hands of Maro Engel, the F1 derived hypercar circulated the ring in just 6 minutes and 35.183 seconds. shaving 8 seconds off the previous time held by the 911 GT2 RSMR. Lewis has been seen driving a $15.6 million McLaren F1, but we can't be sure he actually owns it. Lewis Hamilton's undercover car is an old Mini Cooper he calls his Mr. Bean car, that he likes to drive around his old neighborhood and relive old happy memories. In terms of motorcycles, he has the bike he developed in collaboration with motorcycle manufacturer MV Agusta. The result is his MV Agusta Lewis Hamilton Edition 800RR. Only 144 models were made, a reference to Hamilton's race number 44. You can buy one for around $25,000. Atop his possessions was a bright candy red pimped out $36 million private plane. He has since sold his Bombardier Challenger 605 to Saxon Air in a move to go a little greener. His dream vehicle? The Maybach 6, of course. But even his superstar status can't get him one, as it's only a concept car. Sure, Lewis Hamilton's got the movie star looks, the tattoos, the dreads, the style, the hair, the jewelry and the $1 million smile, but no one pays you much mind at the top of your sport if you aren't winning. After 288 F1 races, Lewis Hamilton has recorded a record 103 victories, 103 pole positions, and 182 podium appearances. The stat most people truly respect? 7 World Drivers' Championship titles, a record which he shares with Michael Schumacher. Time is on his side to beat it. F1 has crossover appeal. Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, Ayrton Senna are some of the well-known names in the sport. The international nature of the competition and the luxurious prestige surrounding it makes it feel like the upper-class sport it is. And to be associated with it is to be associated with wealth and class itself. Lewis Hamilton has transcended F1 fame. He's been knighted by King Charles, who wasn't yet king at the time. So his full name is actually Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton. The United States doesn't have knights, but one of the ways Americans knight their citizens is by allowing them to buy an NFL team. Lewis is currently part owner of the Denver Broncos, a franchise worth a total of $4.65 billion. He shared ownership with $68 billion man Rob Walton, an heir of the Walmart fortune. Lewis has been on the covers of countless magazines which traditionally have nothing to do with racing and has become somewhat of a fashion icon. He was even offered a role in Top Gun Maverick by Tom Cruise himself to be one of the pilots. He actually couldn't do the role because he has a scheduling conflict with the Formula One season. Lewis is currently working on producing a movie for Apple, which will star Brad Pitt with the help of his own production company, Dawn Apollo Film. Principal photography will actually be happening on race weekends at the tracks in 2023, and the budget for the film is $140 million. He's done hot laps with superstars like Usain Bolt, Millie Bobby Brown, and Gigi Hadid. He sped around with James Corden and almost sprayed Vladimir Putin with champagne at the Russian Grand Prix. He also had a cameo as himself in Pixar's Cars 2. In the movie, he is a black 2009 Grand Touring Sports Special GBG racer, which was inspired by a McLaren MP412C GT3. He has been featured as a guest at the Met Gala, and let's face it, he brings a lot of high heel wearing fans to sport. It takes an awful lot of strength even to be able to hold on to a modern F1 car. Take a look at some of the exercises drivers put themselves through to prepare. It proves once and for all that F1's finest are indeed athletes. Some of Lewis's endurance training routines include weighted pull-ups, where we've seen him do 337 in a row. We've also seen him do an unbelievable 604 consecutive push-ups and 267 weighted squats with no breaks. He also boxes, hikes and swims regularly, as well as surfs and skydives recreationally. Formula One races go for about 2 hours and can go up to 3 if the race is suspended for a crash or inclement weather. Formula One cars do not get refilled with gas during the race, but instead they carry enough fuel to finish the entire race. It has been said that driving a Formula One car in that fireproof Nomex suit gloves and 3-pound helmet is akin to working out in a sauna for a few hours. Lewis has said he's lost up to 10 pounds in races in hot places like the Malaysian Grand Prix. F1 regulations actually stipulate that the driver cannot weigh less than 176 pounds at the end of the race. What does Lewis Hamilton have physically that separates him from the pack? There's a fearlessness when it comes to driving. There's no room for fear when you're exceeding 200 miles per hour. He also has an internal integrated understanding of lines and trajectories and a superior sense of depth perception. He calls his level of depth perception a God-given gift. Every elite athlete has something physical that helps them to dominate. 15-time golf world champion Tiger Woods has better than perfect 20/15 vision, meaning he sees as well as 20 feet as he does at 15 feet. Lewis has another similarity to Tiger Woods. Lewis's dominance is not just due to physical or mental attributes, but familial as well. Like Earl Woods to Tiger, Anthony Hamilton, Lewis's father, devoted all of his attention and energy to supporting and nurturing his son's talent. Lewis was a radio-controlled car champion at the age of 5 and then spent preteen years go-karting. His father worked up to 3 jobs at a time to support his karting career and served as Lewis's mechanic as well. It's amazing to think that he's gone from having one mechanic to the 1,300 people that work on his car at Mercedes-Benz. Having been able to live and breathe the sport from the time he can remember has certainly been invaluable to Lewis's development as a driver. Lewis's mom and stepmom, Carmen Larbelestier and Linda Hamilton respectively, played critical roles in making tough sacrifices for the sake of pushing the children forward towards a better life. His stepmom even sewed his name into his first racing suit. You may not know that Lewis has a lesser-known racing brother, Nicholas Hamilton. Born with cerebral palsy, Nicholas dominates a different kind of track, the virtual tracks of the video game world. One of the best race car gamers in the world in games like the Project Cars and F1 game series, Nicholas has even beaten his big brother on occasion. Inspired by his big brother Lewis, Nicholas eventually entered the world of professional racing as well, with a specially modified car with widened pedals and a hand clutch. Even though he finished 15th out of 17 in his first race in 2011, the Renault Clio Cup, his triumph was being the first disabled driver to compete. Lewis very publicly supports his brother's racing career, much the way Nicholas supported him all throughout his career from the very beginning. Familial support has gone a long way in propulsing Lewis Hamilton's career forward. Success is never really one thing. For Lewis Hamilton, he started early, was nurtured at home by his family, had a physical gift for depth perception, was invested in at the right times by the right racing teams, and made automotive racing his singular, all-consuming obsession. But looking back, his success seems so obvious, when everything you do is to the end game of being number one. The universe has no choice but to give it. The 1,000 plus mechanics, the engineers, the financiers, the sponsors, the $15 million F1 cars, all appeared in their own time. The constant has been Lewis Hamilton's infinite drive, and us, well, we're just playing catch up. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, this is Claire, and make sure to check us out at hotcars.com for all the latest in automotive news. Bye!